I'm Dan Church. I am the founder of FlyInside. As Jamie mentioned, we do virtual reality flight simulation software. So to give you a brief history, flight simulation, my apologies, flight simulation started actually back in the 1920s with giant bulky physical devices. It entered the hands of consumers and home users and hobbyists in the 80s when personal computers started to become commonly available. Almost immediately, you saw tag-along companies making joysticks, making yokes, making airports, making airplanes, and just this giant software and hardware market grew around flight simulation. And as it did that, more and more companies joined in. Users chased realism, they tried to get the best setup they could, and it's just been a growing hobby ever since. Today in that space, you have companies like Microsoft, Lockheed Martin, and Laminar Research. And then on the commercial training side of things for training real-world pilots, where there is just a huge cash flow, you have CAE, L3, True, Flight Safety, and a bunch of other giant corporations. So to set the stage, in 2014, flight simulation, maybe it wasn't dying, but it was extremely stagnant. And at this time, Microsoft had released their most recent product in 2006. Their competitors had 8 years to play catch up, and they had not caught up even. It looked like a dead industry. And around that time, a company called Dovetail announced that they had bought the rights from Microsoft to start marketing and selling their simulator again and breathing some life back into the industry. At the same time, Oculus began shipping out Oculus DevKit 2s, which, for anyone familiar with virtual reality, these were the first consumer headsets that wouldn't make most people instantly nauseous. So it was an interesting time. I was still working my day job as a application developer, as a web developer, but I was obsessed with virtual reality on the side. And looking at these two events, I thought to myself, this looks like something that would go together really well. Pilots need a 360-degree view. They need visual depth. All of these things help you fly and make it more realistic. And the users chase realism. So I looked and said, I bet I can make Microsoft Flight Simulator X, this product just put back on the market by Dovetail. I could take this and bring it, normally it's just on a monitor, you're looking at it on a screen, and bring it into virtual reality. So I started working on a product to do exactly that. About 6 months later, I had my proof of concept working. You could put on your virtual reality headset, it's like you're sitting in a cockpit, and I launched a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter goal was a modest $13,000, and we crossed that in about 5 days, and by the end of the Kickstarter, we had $30,000. It was a wildly popular success. So at that point, we just started growing. We created similar products for other simulators. There wasn't just Microsoft FSX, there was X-Plane, there was a Lockheed Martin product, and we supported those too, and we just started selling and growing at that point. So at a certain point, we said to ourselves that if we keep making these add-ons that take other people's software and brings it into virtual reality, we're going to get crushed at some point. These companies are going to take their flight simulator, they're going to take notice of virtual reality, and they're going to do it themselves. And it has proved true. They've finally started to do that about 4 years later. So we started working on our own flight simulation software. Our goal was to build a product. You buy it, you install it, and that's all you do. And you put on a VR headset, you're in an aircraft cockpit. And it's fluid, it's realistic, it's smooth. It's if you're into flight sim, it's fun, and if you are a professional, it's useful for training. As far as our market overview, there's really two different categories to this. Did I just? Sorry, I thought I felt myself hit a button. So there's two different categories to this. You have home users who are extremely accessible. You give them a product they want and they buy it and they have fun. And that really ranks in the millions, maybe 7, 8 digits a year as far as an industry right now. On the flip side, you have the commercial side of things. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's only growing as airlines grow, and especially as Asia produces a demand for more pilots. So it's a huge industry. On the downside, you have regulation, you have very fierce, large competitors, and you have very high standards in terms of what your product actually needs to do. So from our business model, we started out by selling direct to consumers, and that worked very well. So yeah, we started out selling direct to consumers, and we grew purely using our own income since that Kickstarter. So we just sold to pilots, to hobbyists, to video gamers through our website and Steam, and funneled that income back into our own company. And then at the same time, we have sold to commercial entities. We've sold to Fortune 500 airlines, aircraft manufacturers. We have done products for these companies. We have done custom software for these companies, and it all stems out of our expertise in virtual reality flight simulation, and especially the fact that if you go to our competitors, they won't even consider giving you a custom version of their software unless it is a multi-million-dollar project, and we're always flexible when it comes to adding what they need. So, as I was saying, when we started out, we started out through a mailing list. We released teasers, we released videos, and because we were giving people what they wanted, they just came to us. We didn't really need advertising. We had over 1,000 users when we started our Kickstarter, and at this point, we have 20,000 customers who help spread word of mouth when we launch a new product. So since then, we have, I mentioned this already, I'm a little short on time, so I'm going to keep going. Apologies. Very quickly, we have 3 absolutely amazing software developers and myself and my business partner. So any questions? So she asked who actually makes up our customer base, and the answer to that is that it is probably, we don't have an exact breakdown, but 30% pilots, 30% wannabe pilots, 30% video gamers who want to try something new.
About how many aircraft is your simulation container on? What's the breakdown for like commercial and military?
So we have 10 aircraft that are simulator chips with currently, and that number is growing slowly. And you get about 4 general aviation aircraft, or 3 general aviation, 3 helicopters, 2 jetliners, and a military trainer jet. And then on the commercial side, we actually have a couple of specific military aircraft we don't sell in our general public version.
Great presentation. Is it single player mode right now, or is it going to do multiplayer eventually?
He asked if we are single player, and we support both single player and multiplayer. The multiplayer is rudimentary, but you can connect with your friends and fly multiple aircraft together.
Let's give him a hand.
Can you read your email address, please, because it's hard to see with the color?
Oh, sure. My apologies. That is Dan, D-A-N, at FlyInside. That's FLYINSIDE dash FSX, Foxtrot Sierra X-ray.com. I know that's a terrible email address. I do have a demo station up there and I have business cards.